Hello, welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and this is our full review of the Puma Fast-Trac Nitro. So the Fast-Trac Nitro is Puma's all-terrain shoe. Think of that as a road to trail shoe where you are getting enough comfort to use it for steady road running, but then you've also got a bit more grip and protection when you do hit the trails. It's another pretty good value shoe from Puma, it's fair to say. It costs £100 in the UK and $110 in the US. It's also pretty light for a shoe in this category. It weighs 284 grams or 10 ounces in my UK size 9. And it's got an 8mm drop with a 29mm stack height at the heel and 21 at the forefoot. So there's a lot of familiar elements to the Fast-Trac Nitro if you've used any of Puma's road shoes, and that starts with the midsole where you are getting some nitro in the midsole as you'd expect from the name of the shoe. So that's a nitrogen infused TPEE foam. With the Fast-Trac you're getting a nitro top layer that's embedded in Puma's EVA foam, which is called Pro Foam Light. So you're getting more of a frame of the EVA foam to create a bit more structure and stability with that top layer of the nitro foam to create that bouncy feeling underfoot. Then the outsole is Puma Grip ATR. So Puma Grip is used on most of the road shoes. The Deviate Nitro 2 has a little bit of the Puma Grip ATR at the heel, and it's basically a more aggressive version of Puma Grip that can handle more regular trail use and things like slushy roads where you just need that little bit of extra grip that you don't get from Puma's road shoes. Then you've got a ripstop mesh upper with an integrated eye stay on the laces you can tuck your laces into if you like doing that. You've got gusted tongue and a reinforced toe box to provide a bit more protection for your toes if you are on the trails and worried about hitting stray roots. And you can also get a Gore-Tex version of the Fast-Trac Nitro if you want more waterproofing, which costs a little bit extra. Okay, I've got Tom with me now, and first we're going to talk about the fit of the Puma Fast-Trac Nitro. Tom, how did this shoe fit you?
Well, I've actually got a size, half a size larger than my actual feet, so probably not the best person to go for an accurate view of it. But what I would say is, I definitely would have gone down half a size with half a size. But maybe listen to what you've got to say.
Okay. Well, I've got mine in my correct size, and it fits very well, so I can back up Tom's guess there that it works well true to size. It's got quite a nice roomy toe box, which you want on the trails in general, I'd say. The fit, I find the fit around the collar a bit weird, like quite firm when you first start running in the shoe, and I was worried it was going to hurt my feet, but actually it didn't. But I definitely found the collar very noticeable around my foot.
I didn't have any issues.
Okay, good. Carry on. Okay, on to the run test. Now, this is a really interesting shoe, I think, a very practical shoe that does a lot of things very well, but so we'll probably review almost as much on the terrain you can cover in it, as well as its versatility for different types of runs. But Tom, what did you find with the Fast-Trac Nitro?
Yeah, so when we got this, I wasn't entirely sure what it was for. I think I spoke to you about it and said, "What am I using it for? What is it?" And it's basically a semi-road shoe. It essentially feels like a road shoe, but you've got that slightly more aggressive outside grip, which is more trail orientated, but it's not a full trail shoe. It's really designed for people that maybe like me do a lot of public footpaths, and I used to do canal paths. You do those now, but I don't do those anymore. But you're going on road as well, and it does a great job at that. I actually did a race in it last weekend, so I did the 10-mile race, the Mince Pie 10-mile race down in Peacehaven, and it was, I think, about 6k on road, and then the rest was on fairly manageable trails. It wasn't that aggressive trails. It wasn't like I needed a Speed Cross 6 or something for it, and it couldn't have come at a better time. It was like the perfect race for this shoe because a lot of trail shoes that I wear, I don't really want to race in. They're quite chunky. They don't really feel that fast, especially if you've got road sections. But this one, it reminds me of like the Puma Velocity Nitro 2 a bit, in that it's quite a versatile shoe. It feels very comfortable. It's a bit firmer than what you get with a road shoe, so it does have a firmer midsole to it. Largely due to that outsole, I think, that thicker rubber outsole. But I really enjoyed that running it. I could go quite fast on the road sections. I picked up the pace quite nicely, and the grip was brilliant. And it was, I think there was about 250 meters of climb in that race, and it was tough. And so the declines were quite gravelly as well, and it did a great job. It just, no issues with grip at all. Felt very much in control, and overall just a very I'd say, nice road experience on the trails.
Yeah, I really like this shoe. I have to say, I did know what it was for. I went and sought it out and asked people to test it because I did have an inkling it would be very much perfect for me at this time of year. As someone who has fallen over on the roads recently using a trail shoe, coming back from the forest, and it really is perfect. Like, it does grip so well on the road. It's really sticky on wet roads. I think it's very reliable. You don't really have to worry about. Obviously, if you hit a slight patch of black ice, you're in a bit of trouble. But in general, slushy roads, slightly icy roads, that kind of thing, works really well. Wet leaves on the pavement. And in the forest near me at the moment, where it's starting to get pretty muddy. If you go off the main trails, it's a bit too muddy for this shoe, I'd say. But on the main trails, it's great. It's the exact point when a road shoe isn't fine. You are slipping a bit too often to be comfortable. And this shoe just doesn't slip. It really fits the bill well. And that's quite a muddy, British-style forest trail. And then on the canal pass or more gravelly trails near me, again, it grips really well. And it is comfortable on those trails for long runs, well, for longish runs, not anything too long in it. And I just found it, perfect. And I was really looking for it for grip as a comfortable daily trainer. But what has surprised me actually is that it is quite light and fast. Did a progression run in it from easy to steady on the forest trails, like undulating pass, and pace was just consistently higher than I thought I was putting out. It did really feel like the Velocity Nitro to me then, when he's just like, oh, this is quite a cruisy, comfortable shoe with good grip, and now it's really working well as a faster shoe. It's lighter than lots of trail shoes out there, partly because it doesn't have very deep lugs that you will get on some trail shoes, which obviously add weight, but it's not overbuilt. And for a lot of people's trail purposes, that is going to work really well, I think, because most of the time, I'm not going on very treacherous trails, and if you are someone who does that, you will be seeking out dedicated shoes for that, and this is a much nicer in-between option. I'd say overall, I did find it more comfortable on those light trails down the road. I did one just road run, and I'd say, it's not a shoe that you'd exclusively use on the roads a lot. Whereas, how did you find the comfort on that front? Just purely using it on the road, I think maybe it was a bit hard for my taste.
Yeah, well, you know that I'm not a fan of hard, firm shoes. I think I mentioned in the first run that I probably wouldn't go over 5k on the road in it. But when I did that race, that was 6k, and it was fine. I think because I was at race pace, it was a slightly different feel to what I would normally get from a shoe. I don't mind if shoes a bit firmer when I'm going all out, but I think maybe I'd probably max out at 5k of roads if I was running around in this, just because it's a little bit too firm to me for when I'm going for like an easy run. Yeah,
I'd probably go a bit further. I'd probably go up to about 10k, but I'm not quite as into soft shoes as Tom. But I think it's quite interesting with the Velocity Nitro, because Velocity Nitro is also a pretty good light trail shoe because it's got a great outsole as well. So it really is about finding that balance. If you're someone who's mostly in dry conditions and going on light trails, actually the Velocity Nitro works very well as an all-terrain shoe as well. But if you're someone who, like in the UK, where when you are on light trails this time of year, it's wet, it's muddy, and actually this shoe does provide a step up in grip even on the Velocity Nitro. Only thing I would say about that is it's not great at shedding mud. So if I do go for a run in the forest, I've got to go and then clean out that mud afterwards because it sticks to the outsole a little bit. Because, if you do get shoes from like Innovate or Salomon who've designed them for the mud, they're very good at shedding mud quickly. But this is, I'd say, more designed for those gravelly, light, mostly dry trails where it grips really well on rocks and stuff. But it does pick up a bit of mud, but it does grip well. So that is good. I'd say, there are limits to that. Tomorrow I am racing. I say racing, it's a week after Valencia. I'm going to go and race by running very slowly around the forest in the mud, and it's going to be too muddy on the single track sections of that race for this shoe, so there is a clear limit to what I would like to use it for. But actually, for a lot of the time, it's going to cover 70% of everything around me, or 80%, 90% really well, and it's a very practical shoe in that regard.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I went for my trip to Croatia last year, 6 weeks of driving around Croatia and doing quite a bit of running when I was there, I really struggled to pick shoes that I could fit in my little bag, and this would have been perfect just because some days I wanted to go out and do a bit faster training, some days I wanted to just go and have a nice easy comfortable plod across on the trails, and I ended up taking 3 pairs of shoes. None of them were quite right for it. But this would have been perfect. Just one pair of shoes you can stick in your bag and it does the job.
Yeah, very good holiday shoe. I would like a nicer colour. They're quite dark colours, which is practical on the trails, but I want that like Puma Fire-Glow version of it, I reckon.
Yeah, you would.
So just as a little extra to this video, after we filmed that review, we had a snowfall here in the UK. You can probably see behind me some nice deep snow, so I took the Fast-Trac Nitro out today for a nice run in the snow, and it really impressed me. Like, there were points when a shoe with deeper lugs would have been better, biting into snow, especially on turns, but actually, because I was running on a mix of road and trail in the snow today, it was really good on slushy roads, and actually going up a very icy hill that has basically been hardened by a load of sledders coming down it over and over again, so it was quite packed in snow, almost icy. It gripped really well. So yeah, another tick in the box there was after using it in snowy conditions today, I really enjoyed it, and it's probably a shoe I'm going to have to use for the next few days for running on the pavements here in the UK, because Snow's not going anywhere, it's quite cold here. Okay, on to the verdict. Tom, Puma Fast-Trac Nitro, fan of it? Staying around your rotation?
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll stay around my rotation. I class it more as a shoe that's designed for a specific purpose. Like when I did that race, it was perfect for that. And I can't think of another shoe I've got that I would have picked over the top of this. I still think if I was going out for a trail run, I'd choose something a little bit more either comfortable over longer distance or something that can deal with the trails a bit better, something a bit more aggressive. So I think there is a specific purpose for this shoe, but I think when you have that purpose, and when I used to live in the countryside, this would have been amazing because I did cover a lot of road and footpaths. But I don't think it'll be in my rotation, but I still think it's a fantastic shoe. And for the price, it fits into that world of like the Puma Velocity Nitro 2, where it's really affordable. It's a great deal.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with all that. I think the price really is key here because it is a shoe. I think it is a bit of a specific purpose. Even though it does a lot of runs quite well, there are lots of shoes I might choose to use over it a lot of the time. But actually, if you're someone who does have a fairly limited rotation, you can stick this in it and it will cover off a lot of bases. And if you're someone who has a larger rotation, you're probably going to find this in a deal at some point. Puma are quite good about deals and pick it up. If you can pick it up 50, 60 quid just to have it there to cover off this great amount of terrain and actually versatility in terms of speed as well. It's a really useful shoe, like a nice option to have available to you. And I think it's for my purposes, one of the better road to trail shoes out there. Because in general, even road to trail shoes that are really good ones out there, I think struggle a bit with versatility on pace. This is the best one I've come across that I think I've enjoyed running in fast in, whilst also having that varied grip you're getting there. So if you put it up against some of the other best ones out, like the Nike Pegasus Trail 4 is a fantastic shoe that's really comfortable and much more comfortable on the road, I'd say, than the Fast-Trac Nitro. So if you're tilting your road to trail a bit more towards road, then that's a good option. But it doesn't have anywhere near as good as grip as the Puma, and it's not as quick as the Puma. And then the Innovate Park Claw G280, another really good shoe, has got exceptional grip and is actually very comfortable on the road as well, but I don't find it quite as nippy as the Puma. So if I'm using it as a daily trainer, it's really handy for me to be able to go and do little laps in my forest where I'm progressing the pace and doing intervals, and the Puma works a bit better for that. If it's pure easy runs, I think the Innovate is a better gripping shoe. It's a really good shoe for that. It's got very well designed lugs, and especially in British conditions, it's a very good British road to trail shoe for sure. Overall, I think it's right up there with my favourite road to trail shoes, and I do think it's not a shoe I think feels amazing on the run. I'm never like stepping in and go, it's amazing bounce, or I've got a fantastic roll here or anything like that. It just always seems to work well for the run I'm using it for, and I just think it's practical. Another very practical Puma shoe that comes at a good price, and it's easy to convince yourself it's worth having around.
Yeah, and if you were a beginner and you wanted to pick up just a couple of cheap pairs of shoes, if you got the Puma Velocity Nitro 2 and this at a great deal, you're sorted there really for most of your runs, unless you go into aggressive trails. And I was thinking this would be an excellent, those park runs that just a little bit harder than road, but not really trail run. This is like the perfect shoe for it.
Yeah, so if you read the parkrun description, I'm always reading them out. They go, some parts of the course may accumulate, leaves. They go, okay, all right, I can't use my carbon shoes. Here we go, Puma's time, because it's going to grip really well. The only thing I would say is actually there's some overlap with Puma's road shoes, just because their road shoes all grip so well that a lot of times if you're on dry trails, I'd be pretty as happy in the Velocity Nitro too. So I do think the Fast-Trac Nitro might bump up against that a little bit, just because all of the Puma grip shoes across the range have actually the same grip on this they have at the back of the Deviate Nitro 2, which is a plated training shoe. So they've really gone out of the way to put good grip across the range, and actually that maybe eats into the Fast-Trac Nitro's market a little bit, because you could cover it with the road shoe, but you're getting a more protective upper here and a slightly firmer, more stable ride, which will help on uneven ground. So yeah, one to consider.